So ethers also have a variety of practical applications. They're commonly used in industry, chemical industry, pharmaceutical industry. Um, they're used as an additive for different types of fuels. So let's discuss a couple of the more famous ethers. Diethyl ether is an example of one of the most famous ethers. It's used as a solvent in organic chemistry labs, and it's also has uses as an anesthetic. It's one of the first anesthetics discovered, and its use dates back to almost something around the mid 1800s, around 1840s, 1850s. You can get an idea of the anesthetic properties of diethyl ether. If you open up a bottle of it and then you take a big whiff, it's probably going to make you a little bit woozy. I wouldn't recommend it, but that is one of the applications. Another famous ether is anisole. Anisole is a rather fragrant compound. It has a nice odor to it. Not surprisingly, it's used as a common additive in perfumes, fragrances, air fresheners, and the like. Polyethylene glycol is a really important ether. It has a lot of medical applications, research applications. It's an additive in lotions. It's also commonly used as a lubricant and a coating for a variety of different surfaces. Um, it's also used as an additive to pharmaceutical agents, so it stabilizes pharmaceutical agents and is commonly used in different types of drugs. Morphine is another example of a famous ether, and a lot of you have probably heard of morphine. Morphine has very potent analgesic properties. Analgesic is just a fancy word for painkiller. Morphine is commonly used with high pain patients, such as cancer patients, patients with severe injuries, and it's a really good pain reliever, but it's also rather addictive. It's an example of an opiate painkiller, and thus it has some ethical concerns in its clinical use. Right. So those are some famous ethers, and just for your interest, let's go on to something more practical that might show up on the exam. Let's talk about naming ethers. So you can name ethers either using common nomenclature or you can use substituted IUPAC nomenclature. Common nomenclature just appends the name of the alkyl groups at the beginning and then tags on the word ether at the end. So for example, you have diethyl ether, which you can also name as ethyl ether, or you can have ethyl methyl ether. For symmetrical ethers, such as diethyl ether, you can just add the prefix di. So you can have dipropyl ether, dimethyl ether, diisopropyl ether, diterbutyl ether, what have you. All right, and substitute IUPAC nomenclature is a little bit more applicable when we're talking about more complex ethers. And this essentially just treats one of the R groups bound to an oxygen as an alkoxy substituent on the longer carbon chain. So what you want to do with IUPAC substitutive nomenclature is first off identify the longest carbon chain. In this case it's going to be a propane chain, and then name the other R group with the oxygen as an alkoxy substituent. So this is going to be 2-methoxypropane. Here you have a heptane chain, you have a methyl substituent on carbon 5, you have an ethoxy substituent on carbon number 2, so this is going to be 2-ethoxy-5-methyl-heptane. Here you have a tert-butoxy group and a methoxy group on carbon 3, and you're just going to use standard IUPAC convention where you put the substituents in alphabetical order. Remember, the tert prefix is not alphabetized for tert-butyl groups, so this is going to be 1-tert-butoxy, 3-methoxy-cyclohexane, and the substitutive IUPAC name for diethyl ether will be 1-ethoxyethane.